last year on the Pro Tour. In fact, Joe Cullen won the corresponding title of PC4. And Jim Williams won one just a couple of events later.
25.
These two of the quarter-finalists, along with Stephen Bunting, is playing Dirk van Dijvenbode, Mike Kuyvenhoven, who's meeting Ryan Searle. And Christoph Kachuk, the Pole, taking on Dave Chisnell, who we just saw get the better of Josh Rock on this stream with me, Chris Murphy. And I'm delighted to say, joining me to talk you through this one
84.
is, shall we say, Jim's friendly rival, Glenn Durrant.
You can say best friend now. I think any rival is out the window right now. And
59.
I sat with Jim this morning and I just said, when did you get so good? And he just said, you know, I'm losing sloppy games, Glenn, and now I want to start putting them to bed. I want to start winning competitions again.
180.
And there was just something about the way he said that where I think the belief is there. Now, he knows how good all these great players are, no better than the guy who's pinging 180s in front of you. But I think he's up for this, Jim. I think he's beginning to realise if he can just maybe get one or two doubles here, that
95.
Have been the difference that can go either way, that he can once again start winning another Players' Championship.
Yeah, well, his route to the
95.
last day has been a convincing one, Jim Williams, as he looks at this 1-4-2. Not going to take it, but yeah, he hasn't been taken further than 9 legs in any of his best of 11 matches.
I did highlight the Heta versus Williams because they sit with each other and there's probably a bit of banter between them, and we all know how good Heta is on the floor.
96.
So when I seen that Jim come from 2-1 down to win that 6-2, I thought maybe today's the day. As he looks at Bull for a fat 17, and these one darts at a double right now are crucial.
Game shot.
And they're the games, they're the types of darts that will take it all the way to the top, because you're not going to have the luxury of 3 darts in your hand too many times as you go at the last 8, especially with the calibre of the field that's left right now. So when you get that one dart and opportunities there, you have to take it.
Now, that match that Glenn mentioned against Heta, just an example that every time Jim Williams has played today, he's risen his game to beat the standard being thrown at him, if you like. He won 6-2 with an average of 106.78. Heta also averaging in 3 figures. That was after being in the 96-97 range in his first 2 wins against
99.
Pascal Ruprecht and Niels Zonneveld. And then he defeated Dimitri Vandenberg 6-3, again averaging a couple of points more than his opponent.
I mean, they are big wins. I mean, I always think the one thing about Jim, I just don't really think he believed how good he was, how good he is. But there's just a little bit of a glint in his eye when I saw him this week, and when I saw him this morning, and I said, look, grab these opportunities. And you know, when you're getting past people like Heta and Dimitri, and then all of a sudden you see Joe Cullen. I mean, it's a tough section of the draw for sure, so if he is going to win it, it's going to be the hard way. But Joe Cullen is now, rightly so, one of the best players in the world, the current champion of Players' Championship 4, and he'll want to regain that. 1 dart at tops like Jim did. These are the types of difference, because 110 is very, very gettable.
Yeah, he's probably lucky to get there. He did make a bit of a mistake in the counting earlier in the leg. We'll come to that. But 1 dart at double.
78.
Again, this time he can't take it, so Cullen comes back.
Game shot.
And Joe Cullen hits back. Yeah, earlier in that leg he was on 302. Started correctly in the 18s, but ended up scoring, going back to the 20s and not leaving a finish.
55.
Jim Williams.
And that's a slip. And what I mean by that, a treble-less visit at this stage with these players now,
58.
There's a bit of a rarity in the pair of them. So Jim has got away with that a little bit, and you can see the frustration in his face now, because he knows he's feeling good. He knows that treble 20 is looking
85.
big in his, when he gets that hand alignment in front of him. And for Joe right now, you have to capitalise, and he isn't.
97.
I like this response from Joe Cullen today as well. We saw him, didn't we, yesterday with that brilliant performance against Scott Waits on the streamed board when he averaged 108.57 and got beat in the second round. Joe Cullen, but he's responded well today.
Proper Yorkshire grit for that match.
180.
Lovely darts there from Joe.
Yeah, 17 for him. 17 maximums for Cullen.
100.
Couldn't do much about it, but Williams has left to finish, and he has been getting darts at double in these combinations.
134.
And he's going to need it now because Joe Cullen's left 32 after 12. So it's going to be treble 17. And right now, there's the frustration for Williams. Joe Cullen will be feeling very confident to taking the lead. He'll open the bed.
Game shot.
And the only thing that surprised me that he stayed in the same position. I thought he was just going to move over the oche to widen that bed, but he used them 2 darts very efficiently. And it's a breaker throw.
That's the choice, isn't it, when you're someone like Joe Cullen, who is all about rhythm, whether you disturb that to open up the bed or not, or whether you just stay there and carry on throwing how you like to.
Yeah, you've got Jim, who's a real aimer against one of the most fluent. Just look at this backlift here. Just gets his arm there, just the same every time.
I'll tell you what, he fancied it, didn't he? Because you can see his shake of the head after missing that 4th dart. 5 out of 6 ain't bad, but Cullen wanted something special.
139.
They're all desperate to give me my first 9 darter, no doubt. Glenn, it's not about you no more.
Would be nice for you if it was Jim Williams' mind, wouldn't it?
40.
I might let you have the last word if it was that was the case, Glenn.
I'm running out of defence with I think I gave me enough stick when I was winning that. All of a sudden now they give me it back and I'm running out of defence, certainly against Chris Dobie. Anyways, Joe looks at double 16 again. And when you're just up close and personal and just seeing these players, I mean, I've stood behind all of these 1,000 times, but you don't really appreciate real good darts until you get this microphone and you're seeing how fantastic. And my conclusion of this 2 days so far is how brilliant they are when it comes to the doubles. When it comes to these combination finishes, the 180s for fun, we're going to see. I've just watched Dirk van Duijvenbode at 7 180s in his game, and for me that's a norm. But the big thing that stands out for me this weekend has just been how incredibly brilliant these players are
60.
and how adept they are when it comes to the finishing under pressure.
Again, Joe Cullen shakes his head after
99.
missing the 5th dart at treble 20. I mean, he's performing at a level that actually saw him lose yesterday, as we mentioned. So nothing wrong with the Joe Cullen game right now.
180.
Nothing wrong with that visit from Jim Williams.
Another good pace to this game.
96.
We have played each other a few times already. With Joe, and all he's doing there is just looking. Joe's on 1-2-6. All of a sudden, he has to go the 11 bull route, and that's what he does.
96.
And had Joe been on a higher finish or a non-finishing score, he may have then used the bullseye at that stage, but he's got away with it.
98.
Leaves 28, and he's that finish that I've spoke so much about this weekend. The guys practice this type of finish relentlessly. And it's exactly what Jim Williams done to keep in this game, because he's been second best for a lot of this match so far, but he's right in the mix. But he's going to have to break Joe Cullen if he's going to win this game.
Glenn mentioned they had met a few times before, 3 to be precise, and Joe Cullen has come out on top in all of them. All of them that were on the stage. World Championship, the one before last, and then 2 on the Euro Tour last year.
41.
I've been taught a little bit about longevity in the game, and I, for one, know it's, you know, when you're having this purple patch like these two players are certainly having, you know, certainly Jim anyway, how difficult it is to do it year after year. And Joe Cullen just making the game look so easy. And what a future he's still got. I mean, he's won big titles, he's won big floor events, but he just seems to be getting better and better, and that's something that has to be applauded.
And that 5th maximum in this match takes his tally for the day to 20. Joe Cullen.
And if you want to just put that into context, I had 15 for the whole of last year. You can laugh, honestly.
I was going to say so did I, but I didn't want to rub it in.
Jim's going to use a 90. It's a fantastic set, which puts the pressure. And sometimes we've seen Daryl Gurney do something special because, and the way that is sitting up, it's not ideal. So what Joe does, he moves across the oche, widens the bed, he sees it a little bit more, and that's a good feeling. Hence the reaction that it is there, because it's a good feeling when you know your opponent is right behind you. And Jim has to start from scratch again. And you won't like to hear that score as he sarcastically nods at the board.
Yeah, it just keeps Cullen in control of the match, doesn't it? One question I do have
96.
for you, Glenn, in relation to Jim Williams is obviously you're a man who combined work and other interests with darts for a long, long time in your career before finally
180.
leaving to focus on darts full time. Jim Williams has never done that. He still has lots of other interests. Is it something that you feel he'd benefit from doing, or do you think
43.
what he's doing is right for him?
Yeah, the difference with me is I didn't want to leave work until I was financially secure. I wanted my mortgage paid for. I wanted money in the bank before I went to the PDC.
59.
Jim's invested an awful lot of his savings into his business, and it's not something he can just walk away or get his guys to do the job for him.
140.
So, and you know what? He likes the work-life balance. He likes the way it is. He's very, he's very family orientated, and he's got a good friends behind him, and good backing. So it's slightly different there, that he's invested in this very successful business he's got as well. And why not have it as a hobby?
180.
It seems to be working for him. But if he wants to go at that next level, the next level right now is this one. That's not ideal for him. He's just going to have to got that tiny target. Well, he'll be frustrated with that second dart.
Yeah, I mean, you never see it, very rarely see it, but he could have come away there and gone 54-38. Because Joe Cullen's hobby is just hitting everything, isn't it? 180s, doubles, you name it, he hits it. 109 average for Joe Cullen, and a 5-2 lead against Jim Williams in this quarter-final.
And Jim's thinking, do you know what? I'm averaging just shy of 100, and I'm 5-2 down. So in answer to your question there, maybe if he wants to then get to the next level. But another thing to consider is, Murph, is the fact that when your life is just darts, sometimes you can be, not a lot when you're in the top 16 and you're travelling doing Premier Leagues.
100.
When you're twiddling your thumbs and all you're doing is thinking of darts, that can be to its detriment as well.
Tell me about it.
That's what's wrong with your game.
99.
Yeah, a lot of darts to be enjoyed, to be devoured, but it's a pleasure to be in a front row seat for
40.
matches like this.
I've just said the same. I genuinely think people think the only thing in my life is getting back to being a dart player, and it would be wonderful if that was the case, but I'm like a kid in a sweet shop right now. I'm loving every dart. I used to cringe when I used to say in my interviews that I was a connoisseur of darts, but I just love the game. And when you're seeing darts like this from Jim and from, in particular, Joe, it's just a pleasure to sit here and commentate.
Well, look, you've been open and honest about your darting demons. It must be nice to watch people throwing darts of this quality and not having to throw after them. Trying to work past that one, just as he did earlier on. Last chance for Williams to stay in this match.
Yeah, and Jim looked down at the floor there with the real concerns and the hope that he's going to get a chance. That's a good marker. And what a finish there is. It just gives him an outside chance. And I say the outside chance because he's going to have to hold his throw twice and break Joe, which, when you break it down, and that's why when you say it's just one leg at a time, it's absolutely true, because you can't look forward. All you need to do right now is just ping this 180.
120.
And that's when sometimes you feel like the gods are against you.
Well, Dave Chisnell is looking forward to the semi-finals. He's beaten Christoph Kachuk 6-0 in the last day. 104.86 the average for Chizzy. Ryan Searle almost there as well. A 5-3 lead he has over Mike Kyvenhoven. We
talked about players who seem to get better when they get that last 32 stage, and then they're good. And Chizzy's one of them, isn't he? The longer the day goes on, the sort of the better the chance. But I mean, I've just watched Dirk van Duivenbode play. Absolutely insane with 7 180s. What does Joe Cullen do? Hold my court, Dirk.
125.
Yeah, and threatening to post a similar kind of average as well, Joe Cullen here. 7, you say? How about 8?
180.
Filth. And I think Jim will go back and his assessment of this, I couldn't do an awful lot more. As Joe Cullen looks for the ball for the match. What a sensational game. Absolute, disgustingly good. 8 180s, and there's the big smile, because he knows exactly what that happened just in that game. He feels really good about himself. He knows he's playing an informed player, and he's absolutely demolished him there. For Jim, just so close yet so far, but look at those stats. And once again, the things that stand out for me, look at the checkout success. It was a very high quality affair. 108.84 being the standout number there. Superb darts, Joe Cullen, who marches on to the semi-finals.